Okay, welcome everyone to another episode of the Minds Clarity podcast. I am here again with my very good friend Jem. For those of you who are new, Jem and I met in Kathmandu a while ago, and he's been a very good reference for me in my spiritual path because he works in the Mingyu Rinpoche Sangha or in the Mingyu Rinpoche community, and he leads a lot of the programs of Mingyu Rinpoche's teachings online. So welcome, Jem, another episode.
Thank you, Tony. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, so today Jem brought the idea of discussing a song of realization, and it is a song by Khenpo Tsultrim Gyatso Rinpoche. And Jem, I understand that you're a student of Khenpo Tsultrim Gyatso Rinpoche, and I was wondering if you could share with everyone today a little bit about your story with Khenpo.
Okay. So, yeah, I first heard of him in 1995, and I read some of his books, and people told me about him because he was especially kind of famous for singing songs and teaching the songs of the lineage. So these songs have a very particular special quality of presenting the meaning of Dharma in a very down to earth but amazing kind of profound and precise way. It's very, very special. And the I think the kind of reason that they seem to have this quality or this effect on the reader is how they are composed. They are not composed artificially. In other words, they're not composed by the intellect. They're composed direct out of their realization. They're called songs of realization. And the realization of mind is a very powerful, pure place for these for the source of these songs to come from. And there's many, I don't know how many, thousands of songs from all kind of ages and different people, masters in the lineage. And Kempa Sutrim teaches these songs. He also teaches his own songs. He composes his own songs, which is incredible in itself, just that in itself. Uh, and for me, out of all of the songs that I've heard, his songs are the best. Yeah, and so he's like he's a modern day living example. He passed away, but when I met him, he was a living example, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Was it
it's sort of
songs of realization or songs, uh, is it a document of a collection of songs or is it only songs by Kempo? Because I know we've sang these songs back in Kathmandu,
mm,
and you've taught me you've given me the transmission to many of these songs.
yeah.
I also think it's a wonderful way to practice singing and with music. But I wonder, songs of realization, is it a collection of songs from different teachers
Yeah,
or
so these songs have been preserved in various volumes um, uh, for thousands of years sometimes. Uh, and Um, I don't think there is one particular definitive collection. It's just there are many. So, um, yeah, I think there's quite a lot of them on his website. So if you go to ktgrinpoche.com, you'll find a lot of songs there. But they're also published in books, different like publications. Yeah.
Okay. And from what I understand from Kempo Tsultrim Yanso, he used to travel around the world, right? Teaching. This was his main method of teaching, right? Teaching songs of realization, giving transmissions around the world.
Yeah, he was famous. I think he's quite unique in his style of being famous for teaching these songs and asking his students to sing the songs. And his students translated them into English or many languages and composed Western melodies to go with the translations. And then they sang them and transmitted them, and they became a group practice. And uh, it's a lot of fun to sing with other people these songs. And they also have some of them dances. So singing
Okay.
and dancing and having a good time is the way to practice.
Yeah, I think the combination of Dharma and music is a wonderful combination. It's an excellent way to
Definitely.
practice.
Yeah.
So this song that you shared with me is called A Song of No Attachment to This and That. What made you choose this song in particular?
Um, because it's something that I wanted to introduce to you. I wanted to introduce it to the people who may be watching us. Uh, and it's flavor of the month because I'm singing it every day now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I knew the melody when I met you. So it's a new one for me.
Okay. Do you think it's a good idea to sing it now? Or should we
It's,
share it as a text with the audience?
I tell you what, it's a little bit too much pressure to sing it.
Okay.
But the good news is I've already recorded myself singing it on YouTube,
Okay.
and I can share that link to you.
Awesome. Okay. So I think if it's okay with you, I'll read it so we can. Okay. Though shifting appearances ceaselessly rhymes, just be unattached as a child at play. Though seeming joys, troubles, friends, enemies rise, all thoughts free themselves like the waves of the sea. What a wealth of thoughts, passion, aggression, praise, blame. Just look at their essence, the naked, clear void. To walk, sit, eat, lie down, and all you can do, just empty forms shining in clear light's expanse. Okay. So the first thing that comes to my mind is when it says shifting appearances ceaselessly rise. I usually always go back to the sky analogy. And I think we've talked about it in previous episodes, but I think it's such a great analogy. And this phrase brings to my mind clouds arising in the sky and coming into form in the sky and then ceasing. So that's why I think when I read shifting appearances and ceaselessly rising and ceasing. Yeah. But then it says unattached, that's the child at play. That's a very common analogy, right? the children playing.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I remember being troubled a little bit by thinking that life is a game or life as a game.
Hmm.
What would you tell to anyone out there who listens to the analogy of life being a game or everything being like a play? Because play has can have many meanings, right? Play can be the meaning of like being a game, or the meaning of everything around us being like a movie or like a play. What would you tell to anyone who's troubled by by this analogy?
What do you mean by troubled? What trouble could it give you?
What trouble could it give me? To think that everything is illusory, I think, can be troubling sometimes. Like
They,
thinking,
it's also troubling to think that things are real.
is it troubling to think things are real?
Yeah, that's my question.
I think it's more comforting to think things are real.
Well, when you think things are real, you kind of uh might think that they're permanent. But this um shifting means that they are always changing. And the word appearances doesn't just apply to things that you can see, it applies to everything. So everything that you can sense with your senses is impermanent. And they're always changing and they're always new in a way. They're always rising again. So there's this constant cycle of birth and death in every moment. Each moment is replaced by a new moment. And
Okay.
so that's quite liberating in itself, just that. Just the knowing, just to know that. You can't dispute it. You can't like it's obvious really when you think about
Yeah.
it.
And it ties back to, yeah, I think impermanence is such a core teaching, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wondering if the analogy of ch children at play or everything around us being like a play,
Hmm.
it's a way to like for practitioners to step back and realize things aren't as solid as we think they are. Do you think that's an accurate way to say it?
Well, if you think about a child at play, they're quite involved with their imagination. But at any point, they can just let go of it and be unattached because they know that it's not real. You know, they're involved with the, say, the toy car, and then the toy car is going down the mountain, wow, 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 wow. And then it's dinner time, forget about it. You know,
Right.
but when we have a real car, we get attached to our real car, and it's much more, I don't know, it causes a lot more suffering. So if we can be like a child with uh, pl like playing with a toy and just see what we are getting attached to as nothing more than just a shifting appearance, which is what it really is. Then there there is a benefit of lightening up, loosening up this heavy sense of solid reality.
Okay. And then the next verse, it talks about joys, troubles, friends, enemies. And it talks a bit again about rising. And it says, all thoughts free themselves like the waves of the sea. Now, this is also one of my, probably my second favorite analogy, the one of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And everything, thoughts and feelings and everything, all phenomena being like waves arising and ceasing in the ocean, or arising and then dissolving back into the ocean. So I think, yeah, it's a good thing to understand that even includes joys. So even in joyful moments, those are also impermanent. And even troubles somewhere, if troubles or enemies, like even positive or negative, everything arises and yeah, dissolves back into the ocean. And then it talks about what a wealth of thoughts, passion, aggression, praise, blame. Just look at their essence, the naked, clear void. And void is another word that to me it raises, like I remember right now it's not too troublesome, I think, but the word void is also a word that might worry people, thinking that everything is just a clear void. How how would you put that into words or describing the essence of, and here it talks about the essence of thoughts and the naked, clear void.
Yeah, just look at their essence. So this is describing the essence of all of our thoughts, not just some of our thoughts. And it's a kind of uh, translation which can be translated in various ways. Um, I think I don't know the Tibetan, but naked, clear, void doesn't mean nothing. It means the union of clarity and emptiness. So it's na why is it naked? It's because it it's kind of um pure. And why is it naked? It's not actually uh able to be conceptually bound or clothed. You can't put a garment around it. So it's naked. Why can't you put a garment around it? Because it doesn't have any shape. It doesn't have any solidity. And
And even the garment would be part of the naked, clear void, right?
yeah, if you want, every everything is of the same essence. But what we're pointing at, what this teaching is pointing at, is the essence. So it's a big teaching. Why do you want to find out the essence of things? And the essence of thoughts is all the same essence. Luckily, you don't have different things with different essences. That would be really confusing. But everything has the same essence, which is the naked, clear void. And clear here means clarity. It's infused with awareness. So clear is kind of like a code word. It doesn't mean clear like water is clear. It means clear like knowing is clear.
Okay.
And void is the empty aspect. And why is it void? It's because you can't grab it. It's actually beyond any any form of boxes. So it's unfindable. It's inconceivable. It's just beyond. And at the same time, it still appears. So it's not nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
When people get into trouble with this voidness or emptiness, they first of all think that it means nothing, but it doesn't mean that.
I hear that very often of people when they listen to these teachings on emptiness, or it might be the word emptiness or the word void. And I think it's very easy for people to jump to the thought, okay, things don't exist. There's nothing. But I also remember recently you told me a very at the moment it was very powerful to listen to a quote of the Buddha. And correct me if I'm misquoting, but he said something like a teaspoon of nihilism is much more dangerous than a mountain of eternalism, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's yeah, I think it's kind of a shame maybe of the word emptiness, and it's and how it points so quickly for people without context to the idea of things being non-existing or
Hmm.
jumping into eternalism too quickly, I think.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think it's
just
very important to, yeah, to understand that it's not nothingness. It's not that things don't exist. And emptiness is a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more than that, I think. But it's very difficult to put into words, of course.
yeah, it's difficult to put into words because our words rely on our habitual putting everything into boxes. And when we put things into habitual boxes, it's either usually something exists or something doesn't exist. Everything is either yes or no, black or
Yeah.
white. But the reality is that it's there and it's not there. And our concepts can't accommodate that paradox. It's just, it doesn't fit with the way that our minds think. So you have to approach it step by step. And first of all, you have to say, yeah, it exists. Then you have to say, but it doesn't exist. And then you have to say, but it still exists. And it's like uh, going through it step by step, not just intellectually, but also with meditation. And it takes a long time. It's very unusual for people to understand this straight away. So there are many, I don't know, methods of introducing this, and also kind of making the mind more flexible so that we can somehow get outside of the box of our habitual mind and start to accommodate these paradoxes. And reality itself is very difficult to put into words. All of our words are really vague, but um, they're all we have to start off with. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah, we need them to
yeah,
as a signpost, right? As a way of pointing us to the right direction at least.
yeah. They they I think this real understanding um doesn't really come on an intellectual level. It comes in the heart, in your experience. When you experience the meaning, then you understand it.
Mhm. And what is a good practice when it says just look at their essence or the essence of thoughts? How do we put that into practice? Or how to look or where to look?
Yeah, well, that's the stages of meditation. It, first of all, you have to be able to look at your thoughts. To meditate on your thoughts is not easy. You can meditate on your breath. Yeah, maybe. But meditating on your thoughts is a lot more tricky because our minds just get distracted. But when you can actually observe your thoughts like a stream or a river or just like watching a TV, then your thoughts occur spontaneously. You just let them come, let them go. You don't get involved. So that's one step in the process. And then the next step is to let a thought come and you look at it from all kinds of analytical angles. Like, who's thinking this? Where is this thought? Where did it come from? Where did it go? What's the characteristic? What's the quality? What's the nature? What's the essence? And you investigate. And that kind of curiosity is the next step. And then when you start to look at their essence, you need a bit of help with that. But it's basically looking directly. It's about looking directly into the thought itself. Look at the thought itself, and what do you find? You will find, with the help of your teacher, the naked, clear void. But it's a process of looking, looking with
Right.
your experience rather than your theories.
Yeah. Yeah, and that ends up being the practice, right? Of being consistent and sitting day after day, coming back to the cushion and being patient, I think, right? Because it's also, I find it sometimes it might be discouraging to not see progress on a daily basis. But I think it's always worth to come back and practicing. Because what do
Yeah.
you think? Because I know you lead a lot of groups with the Joy of Living program, which is Mingyur Rinpoche's online program. What are some of the most common obstacles people run into when it comes to meditation and knowing that we must be consistent, but it's difficult sometimes.
A lot of people complain that they find it hard to get into a discipline or a routine. They think, oh, I wish I could meditate, but I don't have time. Uh, Other things seem to be getting in the way, like more important, or when they do meditate, they don't enjoy it because their mind is chaotic or whatever. And so they kind of see it as a struggle or like a task that they just need to add to their list of things to do. Um, so that's probably very common. Um, all of these things, you need to have a long-term approach. You need to have a lot of kind of things to support you. You need to be inspired. You need to be motivated. You need to be enthusiastic. You need to know what your kind of long-term goal is. And that really helps when you've met a teacher because they become an example for you. If you want to be on their level of realization, it gives you a really clear goal for me anyway. So these mm, these ideas don't they don't ripen overnight. It really does take a long time. And long that long view, I think, is really important. You can't avoid that.
Yeah. And transformation doesn't happen overnight, I think.
Yeah, it
I
happens in
agree.
small steps, but with persistence only.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's looking at the long term. Yeah, and I think it's a lifelong practice, right? I
Yeah.
don't think it ever ends. It's a matter of this reminds me of the of one of the paramitas, one of the perfections, which is diligence,
Hmm.
and it's to find joy in the practice
Mm.
or or enjoying the practice. And I think it's such an important such an important thing, right? To sit down and be joyful about it. Because if it's a chore and just another item in the to-do list, I think it's very easy to not do it.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
okay. And then let's see, with the final verse, it says to walk, sit, eat, lie down, and all you can do, just empty forms shining in clear light's expanse. And again, now it specifically says, right? Empty, emptiness, empty forms shining. What do you think about the shining? That that word. Why do you think it's there?
It could be the translation. Again, I really don't know the Tibetan because this was originally Tibetan. Uh, hmm. What do I think about the shining? I like this expression as a whole, empty forms shining. Mm, I think it encapsulates the union or the inseparability of emptiness and luminosity. So luminosity is another really great word for awareness. And empty forms, that doesn't just apply to visual forms, it applies to all of our senses. And the the line before it is talking about all you can do, just empty forms shining, meaning the the conduct or the activities that we do in our daily life can be used as a practice as they are in themselves, because the nature of all of them and all of our experiences, without exception, is this union of empty clarity, empty luminosity, is empty forms shining. And I think that shining is the brilliance of mind, talking about the kind of luminous aspect.
Okay. Because I've heard about many unions, right?
Mm.
The union of emptiness and clarity, the union of emptiness and luminosity, the union of, but in there are they all synonyms? Emptiness, clarity, luminosity. Not emptiness, sorry. Clarity, luminosity, and awareness. Would those three be synonyms?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Emptiness is always in union. You can't have emptiness without some sense of being in union with something.
Okay. Emptiness is form, form is emptiness.
Yeah,
Emptiness is nothing other than form. Form is nothing other than emptiness.
yeah,
This is the Heart Sutra. And it's such an important union, right? It's inseparable and you can't have one without the other.
yeah. A lot of people miss that, but it's essential.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. So is there anything else you have in mind that you wanted to share with people today about this song?
Uh, well, I've been singing this song as a practice, and I find it very nice, a nice melody, nice words, nice kind of meaning images to contemplate, and just to bring the view, meditation, and conduct together. And that's another inseparable, that's another union, the view, meditation, and conduct. And it's called a practice because you you might get some, I don't know what you would call it. You might get some result from bringing your mind to this view, meditation, and conduct. But you have to do it again. Once is not enough. You have to do it again and again and again. And every line of this uh, song is another pointing out of that. It's another chance to contemplate that, to bring that into your mind stream and your experience again and again. And you can do like I do, which is sing this song multiple times every day as a practice. And it's a beautiful way to practice because the just it's easy, you know. You don't need to read anything, you can just sing. You can do it while you're walking, sitting, washing up, doing anything you want, and bring it all together. So I encourage people to not just think about this and then leave it, but to revisit it again and again and again, and that accumulates. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
benefit.
Awesome. And again, I know you mentioned the website. Can you remind us what the website is and where can we find this song with the melody so we can learn it and also other songs of realization as well?
Yeah, I don't know if this song is on the website. It's on my YouTube channel, but the
Okay.
website is ktgrinpoche.com, I believe. But if you
Okay.
type in KTG Rinpoche, Kempo Tsultrim Jam, so that's KTG Rinpoche, you'll find it. Yeah. Lots of
Awesome.
teachings on there as well.
Okay. And your YouTube, in case anyone is watching this outside of Jem's YouTube, is Empty Form Shining
Is
on
empty
YouTube.
form shining?
Just
Yeah,
like this, like the last
very
verse of the song.
appropriately. Yeah.
Okay. Well, awesome, Jem. Thanks again for joining another episode. And thank you for sharing with us today a song by your teacher, Kimpo. And I think, yeah, I appreciate it a lot, you teaching us and giving us the transmissions. I think anyone listening out there, if you can get live transmissions of these songs, I think I would encourage you guys to try to get those with someone who has the appropriate lineage transmission. But yeah, Jan, if there's anything else you would like to say, and I think we would be ready to close today's episode.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure as always, and I'm very happy to share these songs with you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you on the next Minds Clarity podcast.